Good afternoon. So we are in the high season of the octave of Easter. When we say high season of the octave of Easter, we are continuously reaping the joyful fruits of the Easter season. That is why no other masses are allowed in these 8 days of octave. 8 because octave, octo, which means 8. And it is very much symbolical that we are remembering the life and the legacy of the dear Holy Father. Pope Francis, the 266 Pope Pontiff in the history of the Church, counting from Simon Peter, and we lose his mortal body, but for sure, his spirit will never be lost from us, because his legacy will forever remain. In the year 2013, when Pope Francis ascended as the Pope, the Roman Pontiff, the situation then was very much different compared to now. In the year 2013, there was no funeral because the late Benedict XVI resigned. Pero wala pa siya na patay. And we cannot deny the fact that the church then was beset with many problems, including scandals. Many scandals, financial scandals, sexual scandals of clergies, and many more. That is why for us to say nga taba kid kalayo si Pope Francis kay Pope Benedict, unfair man kay Benedict XVI. So remember, Benedict XVI was one of the brightest theologians of his time. Benedict XVI was considered as one of the brightest and intellectual popes in history. Then, all of a sudden, we will be hearing the news that he will be resigning. Wala na sang iban nga rason, kundi humility. Gani unfair man kay Benedict XVI, nga singgano naton nga hindi siya manami. Kay man, hindi hapos sa isa ka maalam ang magpaunubo sang kaugalingon. And Benedict XVI at that time was able to immortalize the virtue of humility. Imagine, you are now the reigning pope. You can stay as the reigning pope for the rest of your life, and you can simply shrug off all scandals. Pwede gid siya magsilinga, bala ka muda, basta hindi lang ako mahuyan. Pero Benedict XVI embraced the truth and the reality of the situation, and he humbled himself because he fully understood at his age and his health, mabudlay na sa iya ang magtubang sa mga problema sang atod pinalangga nga Santa Iglesia. So it's the best example of humility. Gani ko may ara kamuman nga balunon nga example kay sa kabuhi ni the late Benedict XVI. It is his humility. Kagrabe nga humility. Di ba kung ikaw, wala politiko gani, biskan politiko. Bisan pa nga manubintaan news na mapadalagan pa. Di ba la? Kay may power ka mo. Pero tama, gid, this is a show of and an indicator that Benedict XVI was never hungry for power. But he simply understood the situation and he understood himself that he cannot be of great help with his situation for the great turmoil the church then was facing. And his act of humility saved our church. And the Lord knew when will be the right time. And with the humility of Benedict XVI, the world witnessed the ascent of power with Pope Francis. Kung wala si Benedict XVI nag-resign, Pope Francis will never be a pope in history. Because Benedict XVI died 3 years ago, 2022. Ano na ihan ang sitwasyon sang kalibutan kag sang aton simbahan. Gani, the story of Pope Francis can never be separated with his predecessor, Benedict XVI. And for little trivia, you know that Benedict XVI and Francis were in tight contest for papacy in the year 2005 after John Paul II died. Benedict XVI won. Pope Francis was the runner-up, and that was considered as one of the longest conclaves because there is always a gridlock of votes. There was a gridlock of votes. And Pope Francis, based on trivia stories, requested his other companion cardinals to transfer votes to Benedict para matapos na ang conclave sang 2005. So kanami sang ilang relationship. That is why when Pope Francis was chosen in that conclave of 2013, I believe Benedict XVI was one of the happiest person in the church because his friend, his tight competitor for papacy, now eventually was chosen. And the rest was history. And we witness changes in our church. The other day, there was this unique video interview by a TV station to one of the 3 cardinal electors of this present conclave, Pablo Cardinal David. Cardinal David, Ambo David, was asked by the anchor of this particular TV program, what do you think is the greatest legacy of Pope Francis, as Pope Francis seemed to change the church? Cardinal Ambo David corrected the statement and said, Pope Francis never changed the church. It was still the same old church. It was still the same church. But Pope Francis is just like the Second Vatican Council, which gave the world a new perspective of what a church, a real church, must be. Sa yuron, wala gin bag-o ni Pope Francis ang aton nga simbahan. Kundi gintagaan niya lang kita sang lain nga perspektibo, lain nga mata, no? Agod nga makita naton ang tuod nga kahulugan sang pagkasimbahan. just like the spirit of the Second Vatican Council. Kung sa yuron, wala man gid si may ginbag-o si Pope Francis. Kagin clarify gid ina man sang interview man sa iya. He never changed anything in our doctrine. Wala siya si may ginbag-o nga doktrina. Wala siya si may gin-introduce nga bag-o nga doktrina. May ginpang-clarify lang siya sa mga ginatudlo sa aton nga Santa Iglesia. Kagin-highlight lang ni Pope Francis ang theme about mercy and, bala nyo na, compassion. So therefore, Pope Francis simply highlighted the very soul of why our church was founded. And few days ago, we celebrated the Paschal Triduum. Don't you know that the church was founded by Christ in His Last Supper? Ginpasad ni Jesus ang aton simbahan sa katapusan nga panihapon. And the church was being baptized in the Calvary. Kung ginpasad ni Jesus ang simbahan sa katapusan nga panihapon, ginbunyagan ini ni Jesus sa iya kamatayon sa Kalbaryo, sang ginhandos ang yakilid sang bangkaw. Kag gin-institute sang Espiritu Santo sa Pentecostes. That is why hindi kita makasiling nga nabunag ang simbahan sa Pentecost lang. That is why gina-correct man na hindi kita magsiling that the birth of the church happened in Pentecost. Ara na siya sa Last Supper. Ara siya sa Kalbaryo. Kung amo ini ang concept sang simbahan nga ginpasad sang aton Ginoo, then we go back to the core message of the Last Supper, which is about the commandment of love, paghugas sang tiil. And Pope Francis was able to immortalize that by his very first Holy Week celebration at Rome, when he washed for the first time as a Roman pontiff feet of women, including non-Catholic women. It is still about mercy and compassion. And if we say that our church was baptized by the Lord's blood on Calvary, ginpamatud-an gid ini ni Pope Francis sang iya bilog nga kabuhi, 12 years of being Pope, left and right nga atake sa iya, nga ginasingganan siya nga tama siya ka liberal, may nagaakusar pa sa iya nga ano siya, antichrist, di ba la? Kabati man na kamo. Simbolo, no? Sang Santa Eucharistia, kag ang tubig nga nagasimbolo sang bunyag. And this Sunday, we will be celebrating Divine Mercy Sunday. And tomorrow, for our special Mass sa bilog nga kalibutan for the funeral of Pope Francis, our Mass is primarily the feast of the Divine Mercy. Mga auto, dear brothers and sisters, no, we are highlighting this beautiful celebration of the life and legacy of Pope Francis to remind us all that we were given this unique gift, and we are blessed that we were all witnesses of how God unfolded this in this unique history of the church. We are blessed that we were born in this generation, and we witness this unique, humble Pope. Di ba la? Namula ng aton balunon. May gasiling nga iban nga ti, hindi man na naton kilala, hindi man na kita kilala. Pero tandaan naton, pwede siya mabunag sa iban nga generation. Pero we are blessed kay na-witness naton ining unfolding sang aton nga simbahan. Just remember the core message of his papacy, and that is about journeying together. No? Gina-emphasize ganyan na permi. And journeying is the meaning and the definition of synodality. Synod means journey together. And nagtapos na gid man ang synodality nga ini nga synod. Natapos niya man ang iyang misyon sa kabuhi. Pero may ginapamangkot man ko sa akon nga kaugalingon. Kag kay Lord nga aman nga napatay gid si Pope Francis sang celebration gid sang Jubilee of Hope, no? Di ba dapat Jubilee of Hope? Jubilee means joyful, no? Joyful. Siya ang nag-launch sang Jubilee nga ni. Pero hindi niya matapos. Remember what also happened to the Second Vatican Council? Si John the 23rd man ang nag-umpisa, pero wala niya manatapos. So siya nagsugod, ang bag-o nga Santo Papa ang matapos sini. Kag kita, nagapanglakaton sing tuod-tuod. Amo nen tutuod nga meaning karon sang synodality. Kung wala na ang head sang hierarchy sang aton simbahan, then ma-recognize naton sing tutuod nga ang tutuod gid nga head sang aton simbahan si Jesus. And I guess that's the final message of the death of Pope Francis. Pope Francis doesn't want to gather all the beautiful remarks of this Jubilee of Hope to himself, but finally and fully to direct all our gaze to Jesus. We are calling this Jubilee as Jubilee of Hope. We are hoping not anymore for a person like Pope Francis, but we are now gazing our hope to Jesus. Kay siya gid ang tutuod nga head sa aton simbahan to bless our journeying together. Please stand.